Walpurgis night.
Oh, food.
Mr. Wainthropp sent it.
We've a lot to do, Geoffrey.
Done a lot already. I've cycled 33 miles, mostly uphill, with that French stick knocking a dent in my chin.
That's nothing to a lad of your age. Why didn't you borrow your friend's scooter?
I couldn't. It was in use.
Oh.
Brass rubbing in the Cotswolds.
We better have a bite to eat and then we'll set off. I've watched 2 people cross that field with an old stone sink in a wheelbarrow. That has to mean something. There's been times these past 2 days I could have killed for spring onions and crusty bread. There's something strange about this village. You know there were witches here.
There were witches all over Lancashire.
They confessed to Congress with Satan. They had meetings, Sabbaths. They had familiar spirits, cats mostly. It's all in this book, The Witches of Reedsby.
Mrs. Wainthropp, it's me you sent to the reference library. I do the books.
Listen and you may learn something. It's beginning to add up. Small things. Corn dollies sold at the general store. Girls in the street spinning widdershins. That's anti-clockwise, the way witches spin. A cat that's everywhere, almost as if it's human and they all take it for granted. A church neglected. Where's it going? There's no doubt that the old man committed suicide. There's no getting away from that. But tonight is Walpurgis night. You saw the food arrive. All right. This is Lottie from next door.
Hello.
Cut her a piece of bread, will you, Geoffrey, please? I'm going to pop in a moment to make sure you've not left the bath running again.
Old ladies my age don't have baths. Unless there's someone standing by to fish us out.
Then why was the... Never mind.
Who's the Queen of England?
Some say that Satan is dead and buried in cold Harbour. Satan!
Welcome, my children, welcome. Feast and fornicate.
Fornicate!
But first, I shall require due sacrifice.
Sacrifice!
Let the chosen virgin come forth.
Virgin.
I may have to interfere.
You can't.
Do you give this child to me unconditionally?
I do.
Has she been soothed with the juice of poppies?
She has.
Is she unsullied and unblemished, pure in thought, word and deed?
She is. Sacrifice.
Supposed to cry. Run back to the village. Go straight to the policeman's house. I'll hold them somehow till he gets here. Right.
All right! That's enough! You can stop this at once, I won't have it! Freedom of worship is one thing, no objection to that. But you lot are going too far. My advice to you would be to make yourself scarce, quick as you can. The police are already informed and on their way. Don't you laugh at me. Don't dare laugh at me. I'm a fully qualified private detective, well known in the West Lancs area, with an advert in the Yellow Pages. I've got connections.
Of course you have, Mrs. Wainthropp.
Good. All right, put it there. Set up the guy going from Satan's entrance. I'll talk to her. Now, I don't care which comes first, madam. An explanation or an apology, both are due.
It's not up to me to explain myself or apologise. I'm not engaged in satanic practices.
There have been no satanic practices here, madam. No human being or animal has been or will be hurt.
This little girl was crying. She was terrified.
She was crying because the stinkweed and the garlands brings her out in a rash. Antihistamine cream, however, has been provided.
Now, don't try and soft-soap me. I talked to Hannah. She told me about the old religion.
Oh, yes. She is a very intelligent girl. Now, she will go a long way. She studied the old subject. She wrote most of the script. You see, madam, what you've just blundered into, madam, is the making of a community video, The Witches of Reedsby, in aid of muscular dystrophy. Now, if you wish to satisfy yourself, you are welcome to stay and watch. But please, don't interrupt again.
Just cool. Ready when you are, Mr. DeMille.
Old Bones is a merry fella. Comes into every story. Sinbad, Aladdin and Cinderella. Old Bones takes all the glory.
Michael wrote that.
Is it anything to do with the skeleton? Do you remember? I asked you about the skeleton. You said you had no idea. Does this give you any idea where he might have gone?
No, none.
Comes into every story. Does that mean anything?
No, it doesn't mean anything.
Go in. Shut me up.
Can I help you?
Worthless, useless.
Leave me alone!
I'm sorry, I've been wasting your time.
No, you haven't.
It was silly of me to think you could find him.
I can find him, I hope, with your cooperation.
Anyway, I can't afford to pay for a long inquiry. I'm sure you understand that.
It's got something to do with that poem, hasn't it?
Thank you so much for all your trouble.
Jeffrey!
Get over here with the scooter as soon as you can. I'm not giving up the case. That woman knows something. The phone box across the road. knows where he's gone. But she's no experience. She'll make a mess of it. Here. There must be somebody in that ticket office you were at school with.
All right.
Look, I go around every day trying the doors.
When?
When I feel like it.
God. If you felt like it now, maybe I could go with you.
Sorry?
I did try to warn you.
Try to sleep.
I will. Good night, Hetty. Thank you.
Good night, Hilda. We'll have some new ideas by morning. She'll sleep, I hope. We need to talk. Now, we know why he came here. He was trying to find something he'd lost.
You can't know that, Mrs. Wainthropp.
I do know it.
You're not allowing for his disordered thoughts. I'm the one who had to read the books. If his symptoms have come back, then there's no logic.
It's nothing to do with logic.
Look, if he decided he couldn't find what he was looking for because it wasn't here anymore, he might have just given up, gone back to where he came from.
They'd have told his stepfather, and he'd have told us. Forget logic, Geoffrey. It's feelings in this case.
Well, that's your department, Mrs. Wainthropp.
Yes, it is. Those bits of poems, do you remember what they said?
I brought them with me. Old Bones, was it?
Yes, but the other one.
Lions, when sick, look for a place to die. Birds crouch in corners.
He's in a bad state. He may not last. Lions, when sick, look for a place to die. Feelings. He came back, and he was rejected. So he's given up.
Look for a place to curl up and die.
We've been asking him public places. He's found somewhere private, somewhere where nobody would come across him, somewhere...
Somewhere he felt he was safe.
Go on.
Somewhere he was happy before.
Come on. You haven't asked me why I'm here yet. I could have the name of a mass murderer in my pocket.
If you'd shrunk the miscreant and given him house room in your handbag, I'd still find it hard to summon up surprise.
These fires, this arson.
You want the times they were reported and by whom, names of next-door neighbours, addresses of nearest relatives, and any other information the police are prepared to give. Let's just say I may bring a charge of wasting police time against Radio Northwest for all the DIY detectives they sent round here, asking questions that could easily have been answered by 10 minutes with last week's local papers at the reference library.
It's closed.
It was open when local radio told the listening public about their reward, and it dashed round here in a body. So what kept you?
I've come straight from a client. Nobody told me about any rewards.
Straight from a client. And you want to know about these fires? With no hope of a reward.
I don't know what you're on about.
Then What is the connection, Mrs. Wainthropp, between your client and these fires?
None, I hope. But if my investigation is to be blocked by petty officialdom, pique, and the fact that you're manhandling me, then we may never know.
And the name of this client?
I said I wasn't after a reward. Not that I'm about to throw in my job and fee. You know darn well I'm not the sort of woman to sit on fires. If what I find is a criminal offence, then you'll be told, and quickly too.
What do you want?
If there's another fire, I want to know at once and where. I want to be there. I want to be sure that somebody in particular isn't hanging about watching.
And if somebody is hanging about, watching?
Client confidentiality stops.
There's the phone number. As soon as we know, she knows.
A member of the public.
She's an extraordinary woman. Not exactly Miss Marple, but...
Mine like a steel trap.
More like a plate of pilchards. You think you've finished with it, but somehow it persists.
Do that.
It's only shirts.
I don't mean the ironing.
Oh, my need is greater.
You've taken over the laundries, you fancy. There's a pair of bong johns soaking in a bucket in the kitchen.
I've done the stairs as well.
Well, we've got the case. Don't suppose it'll make us rich, though.
Have you been listening to local radio by any chance?
On the bus.
These fires, there's a reward.
I know about the reward. We're going to need that scooter. Do you think your friend will let us have it for a few days?
Well, funny you should say that, Mrs. Wainthropp. Just by chance, I have actually borrowed it for the entire week.
While you were stuck here looking after the phone?
The only problem is, there's only one helmet.
Are you telling me?
You always said I should use my initiative.
Hell's bells and little fishes. I've only to turn my back for 10 minutes, and Robert's at the Dubonnet, and you've started taking on cases of your own. You've made a mistake.
Using a stolen credit card to obtain goods for which she was not in a position to pay.
I don't deny that.
The girl who stole that credit card was wearing this wig and these clothes. We have a positive identification.
She wasn't there.
Can you prove that?
Look closer at that photo. Look at those knees.
It's blurred, taken by an amateur at night. You wouldn't know those knees were knees except for their situation. Below the thighs and above the calves.
And you, a concert party comedian, used to stand the same way.
And you're suggesting he started the fires? Come along, Mrs. Wainthropp. What did I once try to teach you about cost-effectiveness in police work?
You won't do what you can't afford unless you're forced.
Right. The first principle of police detective work is, once you've settled on a suspect, don't waste time and money looking for reasons why that suspect should not have committed the crime. All suspects are guilty until proved innocent. Usually some years after they've been sent to prison, or in earlier times, hanged.
I never know when you're serious.
I don't always know myself, to tell you the truth.
They're trying to find a secure unit for me.
Well, you'll know where you are then.
Yeah.
Are you sure you don't want to see Fred?
I've got to start trying to forget him, haven't I?
Not sure that's possible, is it?
You really are an old bat on a broomstick when you want to be.
She's not guilty, and I intend to prove it. We'll need the scooter.
I've took it back.
Then get it again.
And the trouble is, Miss Athwaite's not very pleased with me. I didn't look enough like a tulip when the chips were down.
Don't prevaricate.
Look, I'll show you. It was the funny photos competition. I wasn't funny enough, see? That was the one that won, but it should have been me with my head poking out of the flower bed. Miss Athwaite's very disappointed.
I've no time for funny photos. We've a case still on the boil.
Dunroman? That's the name of a house.
That's the name of the house that burned down last week. And the dovecot. That's the other.
74. 74 Arbutelon Avenue. The third house.
Ethel, dearly beloved wife of Stanley. I don't think we'll bother the police yet with this one.
I just need the final confirmation before we risk all and go public.
These rags may be triple wrapped, but I can still smell petrol. I hate to think what'd happen if we pass a heavy smoker.
Nothing venture, nothing win.
The tape recorder's pushing me breasts out of place. There was a woman sat opposite me on the bus looking at me very strange.